Hello and welcome. My name is Leah, and in today's lesson, I will share some tips and ideas on what to focus on in a lesson. As a teacher, it's very important to know what it is that you focus on in your lesson. I normally try to focus on 4 things. Number 1 is the learning objectives. Explain to your students what it is that you want from them. This way, students are more comfortable and they know what the expectation in the lesson will be. You can even do this on every slide. Secondly, focus on the pronunciation of your students. Correcting students is a vital part of the lesson. You can do this in various ways. You can underline words as they read and go back to them after they finished it, or you can take notes as they speak and you can correct them individually, or you can correct them as a whole. You can say, all right, let's practice or let's reread the following words, and you can have them practice their pronunciation in this way. Something else that's very important is participation. Make sure you involve all your students in the class. This way, students will feel more comfortable. And if there's, for instance, a student that doesn't want to participate, you can still involve them by using your chat box. Number 4 that I would like to focus on for a second is expanding their vocabulary. I always try to expand my students' vocabulary by using synonyms and antonyms. I try to encourage them to use new words in conversations, and I sometimes do sentence building exercises where I ask them to form sentences by using the words that they've just learned, or you can even play some word games. Tip number 2, resources. Likeshuo gives us a beautiful guideline of what we have to do in our lesson, but what I find very useful is to use existing resources. You can use pre-developed resources available online and provide students with extra information. You can find this on Google, YouTube, or even Reddit. Any educational source. Make use of it. Get something extra. Students really appreciate it when you can give them something more than just the structure. Tip number 3 is set reasonable expectations. This will make your experience as a teacher so much more enjoyable if you have realistic expectations from your students, and your students will feel a lot more comfortable with you as a teacher. When you create quizzes, games, or when you ask them general questions, you should make sure all the questions can be answered by referring to the given learning resources. You can show them extra material, but make sure it's connected to the content of the lesson. I would also suggest to use your games to once again expand their vocabulary or their knowledge, so that they walk away from the lesson with more vocabulary and a little bit of extra knowledge. As a teacher, once again, this will really make your experience a lot better too. The students learn something and you learn something as well. Number 4 that I would like to focus on today is repetition. If I can give you guys a tip, online students do not like frequent change in their learning style. This goes through to young learners all the way through to adults. As human beings, we generally don't like changes. So, if your students are happy with your learning and your teaching style, then it's completely fine to repeat the same structure over and over again. And certain activities, students learn in this way, they feel safe, and they start to get comfortable with your learning style. Once you find a teaching style that works for you and your students, feel free to repeat it each week. If you want to spice it up, then you can always add in a fun word game or a fun quiz or an extra activity to just change it a little bit. But you will see that most of the Likeshuo lessons follow the same structure, and this is the reason why. We as human beings, we do not like frequent changes. So let's keep it consistent. Number 5, and this will be the last tip that I give today, is don't hide your feelings. All right, online teachers' emotional openness is a great instructional strategy. Students will mirror your emotions. If you are open and you are more open to share what you feel, what you experience in classes, your students will feel the same. And sometimes we forget about this emotional openness. I'm not saying that you have to share all your personal information about your life with your students, of course not. But if your students see you as a normal human being that they can connect with, then they will form an emotional connection with you, and the chances of them signing up with you again is a lot better. Also, you want these regular students because as a teacher, it will make your experience so much better too. You will be able to make friends, you will be able to build a relationship, and you will be able to see the growth within your students. This, ladies and gentlemen, brings us to the end of my video. Thank you so much for watching. If you have more ideas, tips, or suggestions to share with me and other teachers, please feel free to type it in the chat box below. What works for you might as well just work for me. Thank you everyone, and enjoy your teaching with Likeshuo. Goodbye.